I'd like to welcome all the speakers to the front.
Yeah, some of you are there. Here,
So basically the format is we're gonna present, and the presentation are every presenter has a 5 minutes timeline, and after that the discussion will happen. I hope we get a lot of questions from you so that we can discuss and further collaborate and bring a document that can help the SIG as well as the IGF. And since we are going to the IGF, we already have a proposal in the IGF, so we would love your contribution, and we'd want to grow because we are planning to do a research on the same topic about why youth, how we can increase the involvement of youth. So can we have the first slide? So last year what we did was we had a session about grassroots level initiatives, and we did a research and we presented this survey. So this survey was done in Asia Pacific, and around 50 people had participated from different parts, and you know, the age was 30 and above was 38%. 50 and above was 4.3%, and 57.4% was age limit was 18 to 30%. Can you change the slide, please? So you can see the gender. Male was 61.7%, 36.2. Next slide, please. The region was given. Oh, sorry. It was done openly, not just in Asia Pacific. So count of where does youth stand as a stakeholder in IG. So 40% said very important, extremely important, 45.5%. They should be involved, 14.5%. So there is a lot of awareness needed in terms of youth getting involved in the IG process. Next slide. Count of how do you think youth should be involved. So policy and research, very limited percentage, awareness very limited, communication very limited, next generation, and a lot of them said all. So people are not specific. People think that youth should get into all sorts of work, and I think that is great to some extent. So can you have another one? Why should youth be involved in IG process? Because they they face the issues and problems. 31 people scored that, and we had 64.5%. They are the next generation leaders. They are the most vulnerable group, 43.75%. Next presentation, please. So what are the challenges of youth leadership in internet governance process? So lack of basic knowledge of internet core values scored the high. A lot of the people believe that youth, they don't have core values. They do. So please, complicate internet politics. So when I say complicate internet politics, that's something like the fellowships, the information is not being passed. So that kind of like goes around. Nepotism and favoritism. Then funding was 31%. A lot of youth expressed that there was very limited funding, especially from Asia Pacific was there. So limited mentality, 7%, 14.58%, communication and networking, 37.5%, internet governance itself is complicated, 18.75%, internet politics and infrastructure, 35.41%, diversity, 14, too technical, 16.66%, cost of internet, 16.66%. Next slide, please. Why do you think there is a limitation for youth involvement in the IG process? So lack of awareness was scored 64.5%, limited opportunities 56. I think we did this slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, so findings. Youth gaps. There is a huge youth gap, in between the youth internationally, in between the youth here, there is a gap. So that gap needs to be resolved. There needs to be certain research about how we are going to approach, how we are going to include that. Engagement, more engagement needed from youth. A lot of the youth are participating in ICANN fellowships, ambassador programs. What are they doing? Where are we? We need engagement. The money spent is not for free. It's not a holiday event. Engage. Fellowships. We need more fellowships, good fellowships. Coaching and mentoring program. Yes, we need coaching and mentoring program to guide these people, to show them where to go, what to do. We need initiatives from you people to tell them that AP's programs like APSIG is there. Next generation policy in internet organization. There is a lot of things going on. We need young people stepping in, because if young people are there, they can, breathe the air, and they can create more feasibility for young people to come in. More collaboration from all sides, diversity. Next slide, please. So these are our engagements. Next slide. Okay, School of Internet Governance and Youth. Yes. So this is my personal experience. I've attended few of the SIGs. I was part of the Nepal SIG as well as Sri Lankan SIG, and I participated in Indian SIG as well. And I strongly believe that more case studies are needed, more real-time stories, real-time things, more interactive sessions, so that youth can relate to SIGs. Youth can come, step up. Youth issues, problems, and challenges need to be studied and highlighted. Youth-focused curriculum with interactive sessions. Engagement after SIG needs to be maintained with various tools and platforms. This is very important, even for you, even for me. Learning here, it's not enough, because IG is evolving, internet is evolving. We have to be on our toes. We have to work. We have to constantly keep on a look. More collaboration among various schools of required. I think, what Mahi and I did was, when he was having Sri Lankan SIG, I participated. So that's the level of collaboration we can have, so that there is different perspectives. Even in Nepal SIG, Amrita came, right? So there needs to be collaboration. If remotely, if personally, whatever, let it combine. Let this be the platform to network. SIG needs to focus targets and goals with youth. Yes, this is an important thing. Youth. When I say just youth, it's you need to not only target the youth, but you need to target their mentality, how it works, how youth are how it's gonna appeal to the youth, right? So I'm gonna end my session. I'm gonna end my presentation here, and I'm gonna ask Maheshwari to do his presentation.
Good morning, and thank you for Shreedeep for the energetic speech on youth engagement. Before moving to many things, I just searched what youth engagement is, how it is been defined. Youth engagement is the result when young people are involved in responsible, challenging actions to create positive social change. This is what we are meaning by this youth engagement. Before moving into many cases, I will just discuss with you another thing. In 2016, when we are doing Internet Governance Forum, after the Internet Governance Forum, I had a huge blame. The youth are not participated that way. Okay, but we have invited them through many means. We use social media where the youth are mostly in. We created an event. You all know Facebook event. We have received around 400 event acceptances, but the participation was 50. Even to the last session we had done on GDPR, we had 100 and plus acceptance on event. The participation was around 40%. So that means there is a lack of responding of the youth to participate for this kind of platforms. So why this is? This is the problem we have to address. As Shreedeep said, through the case study, he studied what are the major things. So I will get one fact. Youth are mostly online. we can say around 60% to 70% more youth are online. Are they responsive enough? Are they doing challenging actions to change the society? Are they engaged on this? That's what we need to do. That's what our target is. So that's why we are talking on this youth engagement here. So we see, yesterday also I discussed on this, so I'm not going into the presentation that much. Internet addiction, and one word I took from the whole presentation and my research and Internet Society's workshops we have conducted within Sri Lanka, the radicalization. The most of the youth at the moment are radicalized. Their thinking pattern changed a lot. I passed my youth just few years back. So you all, most of the you, passed your youth. You can remember the things that you did in your youth period. Is it, at the moment, can you compare the youth today and the past? So there is a big difference. Are they responsible enough? Are they know what they have to do? Are they challenging? And are they want to change the world to the good side? So this is the case that we have to explore and we need to discuss, and this is where that we need your opinion. I give the floor to discussions more than presenting my things. Thank you.
So now I request Shabbir for his presentation.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. After a long time, 4 days is a very long time, so I will try not to tax your brains any more than is necessary. Person with disabilities, the first point I would like to draw your attention in the prelude is very important. There are different organizations who address person with disabilities, and if they are stating the numbers, there is some kind of disparity. WHO states that it's the 15% of the world's population consists of person with disabilities. And different UN stats and reports, they state that there are about 10%. So carefully speaking, 10 to 15% of the world's population consists of person with disabilities. The difference between the challenges that we face today on the internet or in the domain of IG is that person with disabilities face challenges if there is internet available in their area or to them. For instance, person with disabilities may not be able to access the interfaces that are available online. So, and internet provides facilities and the services to person with disabilities. It offers opportunities to the person with disabilities similar to any other person. So provided given these good circumstances, person with disabilities would be able to access internet as easily and as facilitatingly as any other person would. But for that we need the right circumstances. And last but not the least, that without taking person with disabilities on board, it's the state security as well, that states cannot progress rightly, either because they are 10 to 15% of the population of the state. So you cannot ignore such a large number of population. Then I would first like to describe there is a difference between the disability and the impairment. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. Impairment is what is the physical characteristic. If you do not have a hand, you are physically impaired. Your eyes do not work, you are visually impaired. You cannot hear, you are hearing impaired. You cannot speak, you are speech impaired. And it is the barriers, according to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, that it is the social barriers that make that turn that impairment into a disability. For instance, if the website is not accessible, if it's not properly coded, and if it does not has the sign language, a video does not has the sign language interpretation, it's not accessible for hearing impairment. If it does not carry proper coding, it may not be accessible for screen reader users. So it's inaccessible. And there has been different approaches throughout the history to address the issues of persons with disabilities. The last bullet on this slide explains those approaches. I will not go into the details of those approaches, but in a simple sentence, we can say that these started from charity, which is self-explanatory, and now we are to the social model, that there is a medical model states that there is a problem with the person. So you fix the problem and you would fix the issue. The social model approach states that no, there is not a problem, there isn't any problem with the person. The problem is with the environment. So for instance, if you have to go to the 24th level of a building, you use lift for easy convenience. To run fast, you use cars. So to quote someone as say that if we use cars, we all are wheelchairs. We all are wheelchair users because car has wheels as well as the chairs. So it's the perspective and it's the society that that creates the problem. Next slide, please. So here are some of the web is being the interface of the internet. It needs to be accessible for person with disabilities. We can discuss this slide later in detail if something needs explanation. Can we go to the next slide? I have listed some of these are very general barriers. And if you want to see what you can do, there is a complete list of issues online. You can see that. I will be listing those issues in the next slide. So this is the general barriers that sometimes the technology is not available. Sometimes persons with disabilities do not get information that the technology is available. And sometimes it is otherwise, that the developer side does not know that how how technology ought to be developed so that it's made accessible for persons with certain impairments or disabilities. There are certain initiatives in the IG domain that are being taken to make the internet and IG accessible for persons with or youth with disabilities. Next slides. So this slide shows the IG initiatives, and there is at ICANN we have the Cross Community Committee on Accessibility. At ISOC we used to have this chapter on accessibility and disability, but now the chapter is being transformed into a special interest group. And the link is there on the slide. You can join if you want to keep apprise yourself of the issues. You can join this SIG as it is being formulated. So you would be one of the founding members. There is a dynamic collation at ITU and IGF level. This collation presents at IGF. Last year there were a couple of sessions at IGF related to person with disabilities. One was the web accessibility on the web accessibility and universal design, and the other was on accessibility at ITU. Can we go to the next slide? So these are some of the initiatives that has been taken at Pakistan since I come from Pakistan. So at the first level there was a policy by the State Bank of Pakistan for specifically for persons with visual impairment, because banks in most of the developing world do not allow persons with disabilities to use electronic services. So what State Bank of Pakistan with the Corporation of Person with Visual Impairment did, that it issued a complete set of guidelines for the banks and the other financial institutions so that they can use now the electronic services in Pakistan. So if they are not banks or financial institutions, if they do not allow such services for persons with visual impairment, State Bank of Pakistan enforces these guidelines. Then there was a policy, Digital Pakistan. In this, persons with disabilities were invited and asked for the input. Now it carries a complete chapter in there that addresses the issues of persons with disabilities. A couple of other incidents, persons with disabilities now appear in the civil services exams using the computer and assistive technologies. And last but not the least, in 2016, PTA, to raise awareness, had organized a competition, a country-wide competition on accessible apps. So this was really a hit. So we organized a few of the sessions in the major cities to raise awareness about the accessibility issues. We go to the next slide. These are some of the references. You have that slide on the website, APSIG website. You can see the references if you want to read more on this. Next slide. With this, I thank you, and if you want any explanation after going back to homes, and if you want to connect with me, my contact information is there as well. With this, I thank you.
That was an interesting one. Now I would like to welcome Waqas from Pakistan chapter, and before that, I'd like to announce it's his birthday. So please wish him, and yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I'm presenting on my birthday. This shows my commitment to IG. So digital empowerment of youth in Pakistan. I'm presenting this topic because first, thanks to Shreedeep for giving me this opportunity, and to APSIG. Could you go to the next slide? So what is empowerment? This is one of the definitions of the empowerment, and I actually found this definition last year at APSIG when a presenter, Anita Gurumurthy, presented on one of the topics. And this was the definition that she quoted, so I am just re-quoting it now. There are different forms of empowerment, but just to set the context, I have marked it in red that we're talking about an economic empowerment of youth right now. Could you next slide, please? Okay, so one thing we have to keep in mind when we talk about Pakistan in terms of digital empowerment of youth or in general, that the real opportunity or the infrastructure availability was not there until 2014. And when I say infrastructure availability, I mean mobile broadband. Because we have around 140 million cellular mobile subscribers, and we have around 55 million broadband subscribers. But out of the 55 million overall broadband subscribers, 50 million are actually mobile broadband subscribers. So you can get an idea that in 2014, the change driver, that 3G, 4G auction in 2014 was the point from where on in we can see what kind of opportunities have been made available to youth in Pakistan. So it's been just 4 years. Next, please. Okay. So these are some of the initiatives that are there. I won't go into every one of them, but the key point is marked right at the top. That's entrepreneurship and self-employment is the key. Now, why is that? This is because Pakistan is the second youngest nation in Asia after Afghanistan. We are a population of around 220 million, and 64% of our population consists of youth, people aged between 15 to 30. And the World Bank, in one of its studies last year, they calculated that in order to absorb this pool of youth into positive economic growth for Pakistan, the economy must grow at 7% each year for the next 10 years. And that is not, maybe it would happen, but it is not happening as far as I remember. The economy doesn't grow at 7% every year. So what does the youth do? What they have to start on their own. Entrepreneurship is the key. There are not 100 million jobs out there. And what internet has to do with it is that this is the platform, probably the easiest platform I would say in terms of cost. You just have to have a good idea and then you can start becoming sustainable for your own self, for your country and for your family. So these are some of the opportunities that are available to the youth right now in Pakistan if they realize, and this is where we are coming in with. Next slide please. One at the back. No, okay, so one slide has been missed probably. So just wanted to highlight that as a chapter as well, we have done a couple of things for the youth. We are starting to offer this online course on IG from the ISOC platform. It's a moderated course so that our members and youth in general can learn about it. We have also started this concept of mini SIGs. It's just a term, mini SIGs. We are still yet to title it properly, in which we are going to these smaller cities around the provincial capitals. Because PK-SIG is hopping from one provincial capital to the other, but these little cities around these capitals, they do not get an opportunity to interact or to have the flavor of IG. So we are going to do half-day or one-day sessions over there. There are a couple of other more, but I think for the sake of time, you can probably come to me and I can explain further to you. For now, this is my presentation for the day. Thank you.
So thank you, Waqas. Now we have an online remote presentation. Are we ready? Okay, sure. Next slide, please. So basically, the NTPA works with strengthening the IT sector in Afghanistan. Afghanistan School of, it works with various programs. Afghanistan School on Internet Governance, it's a member of the non-commercial user constituency accredited by ICANN at large structure. Next. Central statistics on organization of 2014 estimates that there are 69% of youth and the growing rate is 2.03 per year. Next. So it basically says, what is your age? So this is, I guess it's the survey question. Yeah, Khaksar, if you want, you can. Yeah, Khaksar can do it better. I do not have any idea about Afghanistan.
Actually,
You should be the good person.
no, actually, I can ask that. What is your age?
Yeah.
The same thing. Okay. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, in that survey that they had 189 responses, there were 30% female and 70% of male, and that the total number of yachts. Yeah, next. Yeah, here it goes back to the profession that in which profession you are working. They have also the survey result. There were about 15% of them software developer, 11% of them business administrator, 19% of them were information and ICT specialist, and 47% others. When they asked from them that they know about internet governance, 45% of them told no. When they asked about domain name systems, that what's the difference between registry and registrar, the responses was 20% yes, and the other was 80% was like they didn't know about registry registers. Yeah, how does the internet governance rules deal with the violations cases by users or countries? 1 minute. Yeah, you can skip this survey. Let's go to the challenges. I see what challenges he listed. Yeah, there are 3 challenges. I think now he listed that: limited opportunities for effective participation and decision-making process, limited outreach program, lack of interaction between youth, communication and different stakeholders. Actually, I think these challenges are mostly reflecting in Afghanistan, that for the youth, there is nothing for getting experience. They do not have anything for the internship. They do not have, even if you do not have experience, you cannot get a job. You cannot participate in a program like international events. So therefore, it's the challenge that youth cannot involve in the ICT and the IG. As well, I think what we can do is that improve coordination between youths through communication, through the events, through different stakeholder groups. That is the first solution. Promoting digital platforms. We generate some genuine dialogues between youths to get there and do the interaction. And the third one is strategic partnership with the countries to share the knowledge between regions, between different countries. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Khak sir. Now we take questions. Please, if you have any questions, please line up one by one. Yeah, line by one, and you can ask the question. What? Yeah, Mike, we share.
Do you think developing new policies and capacity initiatives in order to educate youth about internet governance and the opportunities will improve their participation in the internet governance in the future? Thank you.
Okay, I think youth, when you talk about youth are the next generation leaders. So if they are not in the process, then automatically when the next generation turn comes, then how can they lead it, right? So we need to initiate capacity program according to what they want. So we have to adjust. We cannot target youth with specific things. We need to build, we need to use social media tools. We need to have more interactive sessions. We need to create more feasible studies, understanding their behavior, because it's not like us. The generation gap is changing. So that is the reason why more studies is required, and understanding their behavior and adapting that is certainly a hard process, but we need to do it, because ultimately it's the youth who's going to be their next, and they are the most vulnerable group as well, right? So they face the thing. That is the reason why we need to aware, and we need to bring them to the table so that we can understand and make proper policies, and they are also involved. That's the answer.
To answer your question, policy development and a training program kind of capacity building things, yes, those are working. Again, in the development of these policies and development of these education programs, we need to get youth engaged to develop the content even. So without them, we cannot do that. And at the same time, the advocacy is needed. The value of themselves needed to be understood by the youth. So this is advocacy is most needed at the moment. Even the policy and capacity building is needed. Yeah.
So my take on this is that if you look around, like Professor mentioned yesterday as well, many of the big companies or many of the big initiatives on the internet have actually been instigated by the youth. So if you just give them the flavor of what what kind of powerful tool this internet is, apart from an entertainment tool, I think youth will create opportunities for youth itself. So we should just show them the way, like, this is the potential of this thing, and I'm sure that because for internet, age does not matter. I mean, whatever age group you are in, if you just have an idea, you can do it right away. So if you just show them the way, I think they will probably, and most hopefully, will find new ways to educate themselves.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning. This is Michael from Indonesia. My question is about youth. If I'm not wrong, I will see Apricot 2017. There is an age limitation. You must be more than 20 years old. And the most of my problem, I'm still under 20 years old. So, how about IGF or maybe another fellowship program, and how to? So I need to wait to be more than 20 years old, or I just can go there, or what I can see. Totally, I'm glad APSIG there is no age limitation. Okay, maybe there's my question. There is any age limitation for IGF? Because you talk about youth and you talk about IGF yesterday. Yeah.
So, as per my knowledge, there are various fellowships that are available. So there is a youth ambassador, ambassador with Internet Society that is available. That's under 25. There are other programs as well. So you need to search for that. And for IGF, you don't need any limitation. And there are various other youth IGFs that are happening, targeting specifically for the youth. So you can participate in those as well. There might be a age limitation, there might not be, but you can contribute in a certain way. There are best practice forums that are happening where you can share your experience. So it's all about contribution than the age. If you want, you can even participate for the ISOC ambassador that has a 30 years, 35 or 40? Yeah, 35 years cap. 18 to 35. 30 or 35. So the
APIGA is 18 to 35.
And even there is a program called APIGA. ICANN. So it also targets a specific age people. So you can see those, research those. That's what, when I meant coaching is, all these programs are there. All these programs are listed even in our APSIG website. Okay. You need to go through all these resources. So you have to be proactive for yourself. Okay. And there is information, and we will. Thank you.
Okay, so there is no age limitation on IGF, right?
Yeah, it's based on open and inclusive. So inclusive means age limit is not a barrier to participate in IGF.
But just for the fellowship.
For the fellowship, who provide the fellowship, they might have such terms and.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah, this is a wonderful initiative, I will say, here in APSIG regarding the youth engagement and empowerment in the youths are coming forward to engage themselves with the other communities, with the other regions of the Asia Pacific region. But my question is, like the youth, how will we able to, if they are engaging in the IG stuff, non-IG stuff, suppose how do you make it non-political? Sometimes it directs into the political arena, depending on the countries and the, you never know, they are directed to certain aspects of the internet or internet governance where it becomes more political. Then how will we segregate those kind of things when we consider the youth engagement in a country or in a region or in a, otherwise this is a very, this has to move forward. But how will we, because keeping in view the various political overtones of these kind of issues in many countries, how will we see that this becomes apolitical rather than mostly on the IG area? This is a thought process, but I thought this can be brought into the table here.
Thank you, Dr. Govind. I could not be more thankful to you for raising this issue. Just this morning we were discussing that there were technical issues discussed, there were social issues discussed, but there was less political discussion in the SIG. So politics, we have to accept this thing that politics is the part and parcel of our life and the world we live in. We cannot do away with the politics. What we can do is make the processes and the events that we do more transparent, so that there aren't any nepotism and the corruption issues involved. What we can do is probably we can make our youth aware of the issues. Along with the IG issues, some political issues, we can initiate the discussion so that they are aware and they form, and it's not the bad thing that if they form their ideological affiliations and they raise their issues, political issues on the cyberspace, because it is the part of our life. We cannot do away with it. So what we can do is we can try and live in the situations that we are faced with. So my suggestion on this would be to make the processes more transparent, so that there are less what we can say chances for the nepotism as were raised in the presentation and the other issues.
Yeah, I think that's the right point, because if you bring to a standard agenda, what the standard charter of this kind of youth IG and all that, and then bring it process, bottom-up process or whatever process you adopt, then there is less scope for going into a political arena and those kind of things.
Yeah, I would just like to also acknowledge to the fact that the NRI group has been working in the youth engagement issues, and there is a youth coalition group that is there. So basic standards are currently being developed in terms of how youth, how youth IGF or how youth initiatives should be done. So moreover, it's basically a toolkit developed by all the people. So it's ever evolving standards, but it is there, and we need to follow those and work on and comment. It's open. The document is there. We need to further collaborate from all sides so that it becomes a better standard.
And I think more it's a UN charter, I think, UN-based charter which is going to be impinging on the youth IGF rather than going any kind of discussions and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. To this, addressing the same thing, the politics just not going just within the political parties. There are other politics as well, within the chapters, within the organizations, within the stakeholders, the politics is there. So still we can manage the political things within the IG. What we can do is we can do open and transparent. Yes. The only methodology is to core values. If we maintain the core values of IGF, so that will be the only way that we can do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Accountability can be ensured only by openness and transparency. So that is the main key.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good morning, my dear friends. It's a nice presentation. I would like to the source of data used here, since it's a case study and the type of statistical method used here. You collected a sample from urban side and rural side as well, and what is the population you took? Yeah, on this youth engagement in IG.
Yeah, actually, you can move in the slides, please. There we have that we got how much responses from how much people. I think we had it in the slides. That
it's not there actually. How many people? Did you interview people, or what type of method you applied to get this data?
Actually, it was surveys forms. I remember it was surveys forms with Google Forms, like a class evaluation I'm sending. So they sent these forms to the pupil, to the youth. That actually Mohibullah Utmankhil is the professor in Kabul University, computer science faculty. So he have a lot of youths there. So actually he sent those forms to the youths, and they he get back the responses.
Just to know about the number of people, how
I
many
think
people?
169. You can see, you can get the slides, please. No, actually we had it here. We have it. We can you can see there. It. Can you go to next slide, please? 189 responses.
And what is the total population of Afghanistan?
Actually, the population is very large, but we have the accessibility and internet knowledge issue as well. We do not have even 30 out of 34 provinces involved in the internet. So maybe these 189 responses would come from 4 cities. So actually we do not have access to the internet and knowledge of the internet in other provinces in Afghanistan. So that's why he sent these forms only to the 4 cities or 4 provinces.
If you talk about the total population, the sample size I think is very small.
Yeah.
Can you get correct data from there?
Mohibullah is actually online and he would like to answer this question. Mohibullah?
Definitely, it was a nice presentation. Just I would like to substantiate this information with some data sources.
You are actually on mute.
No, just go ahead. What are we waiting?
Hello?
Don't waste the time.
There you go, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear?
Yeah.
Thank you, Kay. Thank you, APSIG team. Regarding the question, first of all, I'm very sorry that I missed to present my case study. Regarding the question, this was a survey that we done for, it was a questionnaire that was open for 10 days. And we had 15 questions, and it was just for our community members. It wasn't for public. Actually, National IT Professional Association of Afghanistan is based in Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan. And we are the organizer of Afghanistan School on Internet Governance. So according to what we have done in the past, so we wanted to assess how much the work we have done affected and people, and how do they know, how do they think about the internet governance now. So we designed a questionnaire, and based on that questionnaire, we gathered this data.
Thank you very much. My request, is there any possibility to increase the sample size, it would have been better. So please think of it.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Exactly. That is. Thank you very much. Exactly. That is what we are also thinking about. We want to increase the number of outreach programs, not only in Kabul, our capital, but also in other provinces. Unfortunately, the challenges I mentioned in my case study, one of them was financial and security issues, which makes youth limited to their area, and they cannot reach the programs which are in other provinces. Up to now, we only had the Afghanistan School on Internet Governance, or either IGF. We had them in Kabul, not in other provinces. So this is what we want to do it in the future, to organize the schools and not only schools, other outreach programs for students and also for women. I highly appreciate the Women SIG idea in an initiative, which is very good for engaging women in IG, and we support that.
Thank you, Mohibullah. We just have 3 minutes, so next question.
Okay, not a question, comment. It's okay? Well, I have to have a question. No, you ask me the question.
Comment.
And I don't have any question. It's okay?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know much about the youth. And my comment is a youth leader. And probably here we are talking about a leader, not just youth. If you're talking about youth, like for example, India, you have say like 300 or 400 million youth. Then that's not the issue I don't think we can handle here. But a youth leader is something we should handle. I have been working on this youth leader issue for last about 40 years, since I came to the Asia in 1979. And my experience is the very first time, in the first about 10 years or so, until around 1990, it was okay. Because in the internet, we didn't have anybody. So it doesn't matter how old you are. If you can do it, okay, just do it. And that's the way how we come up as a leader. You see in all over. Then the problem in 2000, in this century, because we have many leaders already, then what shall I do in those next generation leader? Then the problem we had is those initial leader, they tell you, okay, you are supposed to this way, you are supposed to that way. In the last century, nobody can tell you what to do. Okay, you just propose and you just do it. So like for example, like 22 years old, become an Asia business working group chair, because we didn't have anybody else. Okay, and so the now challenge we have is, yes, we have those existing leaders, and how do we incubate next generation leaders? My hint is, if it ever says training, just forget it. You think you can train the leader? You can train a dog, okay? There's many of those dog training school or session, but like human being, youth, leader, no chance. And the next one is teaching. Forget it. You think like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, they went to some of those, they got those teaching? No. That's it. Then I look at the many of those programs around here in the next generation, those programs, many of them, it's not impressive. So that's I guess you the better address. And if you have a good idea, let me know. Some of them is just awful. It's unbelievably awful. Okay? The final comment, APSIG. Basically, it's, we are doing those next generation. Okay? Of course, we are doing those setting up a national SIG and coordination. But really, we are addressing the next generation, okay? Then we give a challenge. Okay, I come up with the best in the Asia world. Because you guys deserve it. Then youth has to challenge, okay, which is a case study session. Then the first year and the second year, it's nearly disaster. Almost no case study session proposal. And the last year, barely, Shreedeep, you made one. Out of those 40 people. And this year, better. But do you think you are doing those good challenge to the those lecturer? Not quite. And so I guess you guys think about what can you do? And I hope we want to feel challenged next year. And am I asking too much?
Okay, the last time.
Sorry, the time is up. Listening?
Organized the Asia Pacific Next Generation Camp 2002. Just a quick comment because we have to move on to the next session. So I attended the first one that organized by seniors in 2002, and then I organized the second and third one, and then we did a better job than seniors. So I can, yeah, because the first one, yeah. So here's the fact. The first one was organized by the seniors AP Star, including Dr. Gilam John, and then we had about 10 youth, but they were already working at AP organizations as a secretary. So I was a new one. So we have a couple of people new to added to that existing pool of youth. So that first camp was a not really good program. So we did a better job. So the second one we did in Shanghai, we had 70 actual youth from certain countries. So we proved we can do better for ourselves, youth, than seniors. So I can help you to challenge, an answer to that challenge.
Right. And even I would like to mention that this year we did the digital grassroots. I participated. I was one of the mentors for it. And the thing was we did a real-time policy making thing with the IGF. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the youths from Africa, 3 people submitted their inputs on IGF from there. So that was something credible. So yeah.
Yeah, so you guys are very rare, a case for youth because you guys are interested in internet governance. But most of the youth are interested in gaming or e-business if they are really leaders, as Dr. Gilam John mentioned. So what we can do is it's a community outreach, and you have to bring those actual leaders, youth leaders, to this a gathering, or you at least to make cases or communities in your country. So you talked about the entrepreneurship. So actually what kind of startups were there done by youth, those kind of things you can make new case studies and then probably bring them to this meeting.
Thank you all. We end this session. It's already late.